It's time to podcast.
Under our bed.
Dun-dun-dun. Here we go.
Can you hear the music?
Can you hear the music? Because we're talking about music. Hamilton.
Woo!
Hamilton is a great play. I think it was Michelle Obama who said it is the greatest whatever of entertainment ever in her life. I personally agree with that. Hamilton is the most entertaining musical or anything. I mean, I love sports, so there are some games, like really good games, where I'm probably more even riveted, maybe. But man, Hamilton has got it going on. It
is so good.
Don't you think?
It's so good.
Yeah, Hamilton's here in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And to show you how devoted we took our oldest son at home and his girlfriend to Hamilton last week.
Yeah.
That was my 7th time seeing Hamilton. To show you how devoted I am.
Just a few times.
Yeah. How many times have you seen it?
5. That was my
5 times. Time. So San Francisco a couple times, Salt Lake a couple times, New York a couple times. Is there anywhere else?
No.
But like anytime we're in a city that like Hamilton's playing, we're like, oh, let's go see Hamilton.
We know we love it.
Yeah. Well, which shows you like how entertaining I think it is. Like it kind of anywhere we go, we're like, let's go.
Yeah. And it doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't it? Like
not really.
And we listen to the music all the time too. Yeah. And it's just not old to me.
Yeah. And we were an early adopter in Hamilton. You know, I mean, we went pretty early on and then have kind of kept going. Mm-hmm. But what do you think it is about the story? What do you love about the story in Hamilton?
You know, I think it's a story. It's a story about kind of the underdog.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love that.
It wouldn't seem like things would work out.
Yeah.
For Hamilton.
Which I kind of think we fit into that, don't we? Do you feel like that we do?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of have that underdog maybe mentality a little bit. Yeah,
and it kind of seems like in his story that he has everything against him. But, which I think he kind of, I mean, you know,
he has
an
a lot
orphan,
against him.
He has a lot against him.
Yeah.
But yet, he triumphs.
Yeah.
And
does he try? He also falls, too.
He does fall. You're right. You're right. But he makes good things happen.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a fall, but we all do.
Yeah.
I think that's what is awesome about it, is that it's like, it's...
the ups and downs.
Yeah. It's a real story.
Yeah.
It's not fiction. It's not 100% accurate, but...
How do you know that? Have you read a book about it?
Well, I have read a book about it. But
that's what I'm saying. So how true, most people have maybe seen Hamilton, they haven't read the book. What is different in the book? Like how true to the story is it?
The book I read though was fiction also.
Oh, it was fiction?
Yes, it was fiction, but it was based on research, which Hamilton is also based on research.
Of course, yeah.
So, it wasn't, I can't, there were a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay.
In fact, most.
Yeah.
It went into more detail than the book did.
Well, there's some different things. Like they had a lot more kids, right?
Yeah. Like in the book, which I'm sure is true because they researched it. But yeah, they had a lot more kids than just the 2 that they have in the play. Mm-hmm. Or that's implied. They don't. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, from the very beginning, it just grabs you. What I love about it is I love the music. I mean, it's the music. It's every kind of word has a purpose. Every kind of, and I read something, I can't remember when it was, but Hamilton has 3 times or some crazy amount, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of words as like a normal musical.
Yeah.
Because think of it, a normal musical, you're singing, it's drawn out. This is so quick and to the point and hard hitting.
Oh my gosh. And we noticed the ASL interpreters.
This time,
Oh my goodness. Like applause to them.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. I was expecting to see like a script in front of them so they could get all the words. But they didn't have one. And I think, I'm sure they missed some. But the general idea was still there. But it was so amazing.
And they were into it.
Oh yeah,
It's like they were in the
acting
play.
it out almost.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that.
Well, it's really hard not to go there and not feel it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to go there and not sing it.
I know.
Do you like how I'm over there? And what percentage of the time am I dancing through Hamilton in my seat?
A lot. I don't know if you ever sit still. For sure in the first half, the first act. The second act is a little more sad and serious and whatever. And
you're still.
But the first act, no. You're like moving, you're singing.
Yeah. Do you think people appreciate my singing that are next to us? I tried to keep it quiet this time, by the way. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I don't think that they
hear it.
Noticed because it's so loud anyway, you know, and it's, I don't know. I don't think they noticed.
So obviously we've gone together. I've gone with a business partner. We took my brother and his wife in San Francisco. They loved it. We took your parents, Sally. What was their response? Because they were in their 70s. It's a very fast pace. It's kind of rapping, right? It's hard to keep. What did you think they thought of it?
Well, my mom said she liked it. I don't think my dad liked it.
Really? You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I think your mom did. I remember her saying she really liked it. I thought she did.
I would have thought, though, because of the story and the history, that my dad would have liked it. But I think it was harder for him to keep up with it. Yeah.
There's a lot of intricacies in it. I mean, it is helpful to, number one, listen to the music, which we've done for a long time. One of my greatest memories, or one of my fondest memories, is of me and our oldest son in Puerto Rico. Where were we there?
A family reunion.
Driving in between the beach house and the airport or something like that, just blasting Hamilton and singing it so loud together. That was before he had even seen it.
Yeah.
And we took him.
Yes, we took him.
And when he got old enough, and then we've taken our 17-year-old now son.
Yeah.
Well, have we taken other people? We've gone with friends. And
I think that's it.
Yeah, there's something so powerful about that underdog story. And I think it's so true to life. It rings true, I feel like, to my life. You come up as an underdog, you're kind of fighting, scrapping, clawing. And Hamilton kind of has to shift his strategy. You know what I mean? He kind of has to chill out a little bit. Or maybe he doesn't have to. Maybe he should have. Maybe he would have lived longer if he would have. Because he was in his 40s when he was passed away.
Yes.
Late 40s, I think.
I think it was 47 or 49, something like that.
And I remember the first time that I saw him, I was like, there's no way that duels were a thing.
I know.
I thought this is totally made up. You know, I literally, that's the first thing, like, I'm Googling whatever in the theater on the way home. Yeah, like, was this really a thing? It was a thing. Isn't that crazy? That gives you reverence for the past. Like, whenever we go into the past, we're kind of the visitors there. We're putting ourselves into like a completely different world. And this wasn't, you know, this is 200, I'm just going to round, 250 years ago. You know, this wasn't an extraordinarily long time ago. And duels were a thing.
I know.
I mean, that's crazy. It's sad. Crazy. And it just seems so barbaric and crazy now, right?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah,
but there was so much about that story that just resonates. The underdog, the triumph, then the fall again. And he kind of changed his strategy, but never completely did. I think you kind of have to because when you're an underdog at first, at some point, you're kind of not the underdog.
Right.
You kind of shift, you kind of pivot your strategy and hopefully become the mentor or the leader or the friend, the helper, you know, and maybe less of the fighter.
I was just going to say, I think that he did that was part of his fault, is that he never let go of that fighter.
That's for sure.
You know, he was always on the defensive.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
And then his wife lived to be literally twice his age.
Oh my gosh, she was 90 something. Yeah, which is crazy for that time.
Yeah.
You know, that time period. But I think, you know, and I've seen it however many times. I know what's going to happen. I know the whole story, and I still cry every time.
Yeah.
Cry.
Well, I think the ending's pretty good. It's pretty powerful ending.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And it's cool to see how the different casts put their spin on the same story. And I thought the ending here in Salt Lake this time was really emotional and good, you know? And it just starts out hard hitting and with the beat, you're just like going. You're like immediately in the story. And then I think the ending's strong as well.
Yeah, the ending is really good.
And the history is really interesting and cool. And again, it's so creative the way they talk about Thomas Jefferson hanging out in France, you know?
Yeah. So here's a funny thing. And I've heard this from several kids or parents of kids that, like our 11-year-old is doing a school report on Thomas Jefferson right now.
Yeah.
And he'll sing, he's like singing the songs, from Hamilton because we listen to it, and he'll say his research about him and how it's the same as what they talk about in the play, and what he hasn't seen the play, but he knows from the music. And I heard from another mom several years ago that in her daughter's history class, they were learning about Hamilton and not just Hamilton, but that time period and everyone. And her daughter answered every question, right? And the teacher was like, "How do you know all of this?" And she said, "Hamilton."
Music's a great way to learn things.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to remember things. You know?
So I kind of wish that more musicals would be made about people, real people that we don't know a whole lot about, but that are important parts of history.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. How do you think about Eliza, how she handled the downfall of Alexander? And, what do you think of that? That's the most heartbreaking, by the way, part of the story. It's the rated R part of the story a little bit, or PG-13, whatever. Probably obviously PG-13. There's not any, but that's the hardest, kind of saddest thing. Well, I don't think I've ever asked you, like, how do you feel about that, or what do you take from that?
I think it's pretty amazing how she handled it, actually. I mean, I think she had natural feelings about it, at least from what we don't know. And that's the truth, is that we don't know, because there's nothing about how she really reacted. But I think that
she didn't write about it or anything.
Well, I think that tells you how she felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way they imply about it in the musical and in this book that I read, they both implied the same thing. And anyway, that she was upset, which is a natural response.
Yeah. Of course.
And then, though, I love that my favorite part of the whole musical is the song Forgiveness. I don't know if
that's your favorite part.
I think that's my favorite part.
Really?
It is just so that's when I start just tears streaming almost uncontrollably down my cheeks, because it's powerful, and it's a lesson to be learned about life, that you can still love someone who's hurt you. And to get back to that real relationship, there has to be forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think it's just so powerful. I love that.
Yeah, it's a powerful part. What are some of your favorite one-liners? Like immigrants, we get the job done, and obviously it's amazing to see, what immigrants have done. I'm speaking generally in entrepreneurship in the country, and what a vibrant force for good they have been in the United States and the history of our nation. Obviously, everyone was an immigrant at first, right? Mm-hmm. But anyways, what do you...
obviously the young, scrappy, and hungry.
Yeah, I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not going to throw away my shot. Yeah, it's just, he's young, scrappy, and hungry. He's not going to throw away his shot. I think that all of us feel that way, kind of growing up, or at times. Does that resonate with you? I
don't know as much, but I can see
it does for me,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is our one shot at life. Mm-hmm. We're not going to throw it. Why are you going to throw away your shot? You got to do your best with it. And that's what I appreciate about Alexander Hamilton, is that he did everything he could to maximize his one shot. And, there's the line about him being sorry, what's Eliza's sister's name? Peggy and
oh my goodness.
Anyways, she says that he was an Icarus flying too close to the sun. He was kind of constantly pushing it. Angelica, Eliza, the Schuyler sister. How could we forget that?
I don't know.
And Peggy.
Peggy.
but Angelica writes to Eliza and says, like, your husband, Alexander's just pushed it too far.
Yeah.
Like, and so it is a balance to know how far to push things and when to be content. And
Yeah. And like they said, he'll never be satisfied.
He'll never be
That's part of it.
satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other one-liner? Does anything else stick out?
Yeah. The talk less, smile more.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's a good politician line.
Yeah.
Aaron Burr, who's the main, character and politician, he and Alexander are kind of always at wits as they grow up together, so to speak, kind of rivals.
Yeah.
And as he campaigns, he's like, talk less, smile more. It's all about just kind of appearances and not really. Alexander wants to talk about things. He wants to emote. He wants to. I identify with Alexander Hamilton, at least the way he was depicted in the play, for sure.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. I think that's one of the reasons that we like it so much. Yeah. When you can relate to something, and I feel like I can relate to Eliza.
That's true. Kind of the two characters are kind of maybe similar to us.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that
you came from all the money,
yeah,
and I came from nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that line about it smells like your perfume smells like your daddy has money.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I saw you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's what you were most attracted to.
Oh no, that part is not true for us, by the way.
But I think that it is, the more you can relate to something, the more you like it, the more meaningful it is to you.
Yeah, it's powerful. And it reminds you of like how much sacrifice, happened by people that were here to create our nation. And, George Washington talking about his right-hand man, how Alexander is his right-hand man and he needs him back. And of course, the king is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
The king,
is so funny.
Yeah, when George Washington decides he's not going to run again after 8 years, the king's like, I didn't know that was something you can do.
Is that something you can do? What?
Yeah,
you just stepped down? What?
Yeah, the king's hilarious.
He's so funny.
Anyways, like Michelle Obama said, man, Hamilton, if you have not seen it yet, try to get a ticket. We know that they're expensive and not everyone can go. But if you can go, try to go. I think it is so uplifting, so inspiring. The story is so moving. Listen to the music.
Yeah, at least listen to the music.
The words, they all kind of mean something. They tell the story.
They do.
And it's I think there are themes throughout it that everyone can relate to.
Yep.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Really good.
I want to go listen to the music right now.
So do I. I want to go see it again, which is crazy because we've seen it so many times.
I know.
Yeah. The problem is it's really, really good.
It is really good.
All right, Sal. Any other closing thoughts on Hamilton, the musical?
No, just, what would be interesting. We'd love to hear what your favorite parts are if you've seen it, or your favorite songs, or
and why. Why it resonates with you.
What meanings you get from it. That would be really cool to hear.
Hamilton. Good night, Sal.
Good night, Jeff.
Love you.
Love you.
Please leave a rating and review for Under Our Bed at your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Extraordinary Us podcast with Jeff Burningham as well.
Hey guys, it's Jeff from the Extraordinary Us podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Under Our Bed with Jeff and Sal, my wife and I. We record from a studio literally directly under our master bedroom. It's a great little place for us to hang out and have conversations that I hope are meaningful to you. There's another podcast I do, if you have not heard. It's called The Extraordinary Us, where I interview people, many people that you have heard of from a variety of fields, and we talk about life. Coming up in 2022, we're going to talk about the future. What does the future of the world look like in regards to technology, cryptocurrency, governments, and other things? Can't wait to see you there. Hope that you'll subscribe to Extraordinary Us.